Welcome to a discussion on ethics. I'm Dr. Laurie Baker, and this discussion was designed for AgCom 400. Well, what are ethics? We all have a general idea of what ethics are. Generally, the things that we think are right or wrong. Maybe even think as far as to say what our community or what our government would say are right or wrong. That's generally the types of response I get when I ask the question, what are ethics? I've broken that down into a more specific definition here. I have the ideals, values, or standards that people use to determine whether their actions are good or bad. I think that encompasses a lot of the things that we think about when we hear the word ethics. There are also type 1 and type 2 ethical problems. A type 1 ethical problem is one in which there is no consensus as to what is ethical. We have many of these divisions in the United States right now. Some of them are huge issues like abortion and gay marriage. There isn't a consensus in the United States as to which is wrong or which is right. Now, we might have our own personal beliefs on which side we stand on those, but in general, as a whole, there's no consensus nationwide or even worldwide as to which of those is correct. A type 2 ethical dilemma is one in which there is a consensus to what is ethical, but there are incentives for individuals who behave unethically. This can come down to something as simple as driving the speed limit. We all know that the speed limit down a certain road is 30 miles an hour, but generally we drive a little bit faster than that, maybe quite a bit faster than that. And the advantages for us are that we can get there sooner, we can get home to our families after work, or we can get to Aggieville faster, whatever those incentives are for us. There are incentives for us being unethical in that situation, even though generally we know that isn't ethical. Ethics can even be broken down further. There are 3 types of ethics within there. There are personal ethics, social ethics, and conservation ethics. And I'm going to go into each of these in a little more detail. Personal ethics are those things that define us personally. What are the things that I am comfortable doing in my life, behaving in my life? These are the rules, basically, that I live by for my life. And those rules are different for every individual out there. They are extremely personal. And I definitely encourage you to think about these and decide what things you value. Write these down, keep these somewhere. Certainly as you move into the business world, it'll be important for you to hold those dear and know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. There are also social ethics, and social ethics are the general consensus of what is right and wrong in the world around us. Some of these are defined as laws. Some of these are just societal norms. Maybe it's something that in a certain community is a normal thing to do that they believe is ethical, whereas another community may not feel that way. There are also conservation ethics, and many big businesses are growing to actually have a conservation code of ethics that they publish somewhere. There are also many farmers who have a conservation code of ethics. They may not talk to everybody about it, but they know the things that they're doing on their land to improve conservation, to save water. Maybe they have no-till practices, those types of things. And those are all related in this bigger circle here. And often, this area where they all overlap in the very middle is where we actually operate. Where we are most comfortable operating is where things don't violate our personal ethics or violate societal ethics or violate conservation ethics. So that is the ideal place to operate. Okay, well, I have a few case studies for us to take a look at as we talk about ethics in agriculture. The first is food versus fuel, and this is one we hear a lot. Whether it's ethical for us to move into using things that could be used for food for other purposes when that increases the cost of food. The actual question I have here is it ethically irresponsible to promote technologies that utilize agriculture as a manufacturing system for non-food products when this results in increased food costs, when some countries cannot even afford to feed their people at current cost? Is there a better solution? So I'd like you to kind of think about this, move it around in your mind. Often the argument that we hear for this is ethanol, because corn is heavily used in ethanol production, and corn is also heavily used as a food source in this country and in other countries. I know in this scenario here, I say some countries cannot afford to feed their people. There are people in this country that can't afford to eat, and the cost of food is rising. So it's certainly something to think about and something that I'd like to leave you with there. Another one is kind of the playing God question. You hear a lot of scenarios out there about GMO products. And here the statement we have here is genetic modification is said to involve human intervention into creation and hence is an unnatural act. Often viewed as a religious question, it avers that the technology is so intrusive to life processes that they amount to form disrespect for humanity's proper relationship to nature, a form of playing God. And I have that citation there. That's certainly not how I feel about GMO products, and I know that GMO products have done a lot of wonderful things, but these are some of the things that we're fighting out there as far as the representation of GMOs on a world market. Others believe that biotechnology disrupts natural order and violates the limits of what humans are ethically permitted to do. Alternatively, there is the view that science and progress are good things and are God-given faculties to help mankind support life and better manage the environment. Another food for thought, if you will, there. All right, and the very last one I have is technology versus tradition. Should agribusiness develop and cultivate mechanically harvestable plants rather than hand harvestable plants? If doing so increases corporate profits but harms farm laborers, who would definitely lose their jobs, and small farmers who might not be able to afford the machinery needed to harvest machine harvestable plants. This certainly is a question that rolls into discussions of immigration, which we have in this country quite a bit. And immigration is certainly one of those type 1 ethical dilemmas that there's no right or wrong answer for, and there are pros and cons to each, and no one has really decided ethically what the right answer is to allow immigrants into this country. All right, well, those are a few ethical dilemmas for you to think about and for us to discuss as we move forward with this course.